All right, hey, howdy. We are at day 9 for solving two-step equations, and the last thing that we covered was solving multi-step equations, where we had distributive property and sum, and then where we had combining like terms. So this time, we are still going to be solving multi-step equations, except we're going to go and combine distributive property and combining like terms. So if all of that is in one problem, how would you solve it? It's not very complicated. It's still the same things that we've been doing, okay? But you just have to now we're just putting pieces together. All right. So when you have a problem that you see has distributive property, combining like terms, and you're going to solve for a two-step, we're just going to go and we're going to break it down. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do the distributive property. You want to do that first because it goes and it takes away those parentheses so you can really see all of your terms, and it helps with our next step of combining, okay? And then once you have you did the distributive property, you combined your like terms, you should now be in a situation where you are able to solve for a two-step equation and isolate the variable. Okay, and when we are isolating the variable, there are just some little tidbits right here. I'll just write this off to the side. So add or subtract your constant. So what do we mean by isolate the variable? And then multiply or divide your coefficient. So remember, your constant is your number that floats around by itself without a variable, and your coefficient is your number that is directly in front of a variable. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into this first problem. 49 equals 2 parentheses 7x plus 6, and then close parentheses plus 9. So we know we're going to wind up with a two-step equation. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to draw our line. And we're going to go look at our first step here. And we're going to do our distributive property. Okay? So I'm going to go and distribute. I'm looking at this 2 times 7 and this 2 times positive 6. So my 49 comes down. 2 times 7 is 14. Then bring the variable x. 2 times positive 6 is a positive 12. And then we're just going to bring down that plus 9 that was outside of the parentheses. Now we look, and we should see that we have two like terms. Okay, we have two constants, 12 and 9. We're going to put them together. Okay, so we're going to go and combine those like terms, which here is step number 2. All right, so now I have 49 and 14x. There were no like terms to combine, so I stay there. Then I do 12 plus 9, and that is a positive 21. Okay, and so now we see 49 equals 14x plus 21. We now have a two-step equation, and we can just go and solve as usual. So I'm going to subtract 21 because that's my constant. 49 minus 21 is 28 equals 14x. That canceled out, my friend. And then we divide by 14 because it's 14 times x. 28 divided by 14 is 2. And then 14 divided by 14 is 1x. Okay? Very straightforward. As long as you're following your steps and going through, you'll be A-okay. All right, so we're going to move on to the next problem. I'll use another color. Okay, so we have 8 times 3x plus 8 minus 2x equals 130. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute. So I'm going to take that 8 and distribute here to that positive 8. 8 times 3x is going to be 24x. 8 times 8, positive 8, is a positive 64. Bring down that minus 2x equals 130. Okay? So now we have our like terms, and we want to know what those like terms are. 24x and 2x, okay? Those are like terms because they both have the same variable raised to the same power. And now we're just going to go and combine those like terms. 24 minus 2x. So you would just act like that plus 64 isn't even there. 24 minus 2x, so reading it straight across, is 22x. Bring down that plus 64 equals 130. Once again, now we have a two-step, and we're going to go solve like we know. And there we go. So I subtract 64 on both sides because it's a plus 64. I do that opposite operation. I bring down my 22x. These canceled out. And this equals 66. I divide by 22 on both sides of my equal sign. 22 divided by 22 leaves me with x. 66 divided by 22 leaves me with 3. So x equals 3 there. All right, so we have this one down here. Like I said, very, very straightforward. Very, very straightforward. You're going and you just follow based on what's given after you go and do your distributive property. So we shall get us another color. Let's get our red. So we have 12x minus 2 times x minus 5. Okay, so we know that's going to be eventually a two-step equation is where we're going to get it to. Okay, so first we're going to distribute. And this is very interesting, okay? This is a bit different because we're not starting off with the distributive property in the front. So we have it right here. It is negative 2. So that sign that is directly in front of the 2, it goes with the 2. So it is actually, we're actually multiplying or distributing negative 2 times x and negative 2 times a negative 5. Very, very important, because if you just said 2, you would go and be messed up. So we bring down that 12x, negative 2 times x, negative 2x, negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10, and that equals 80. So once you have distributed, you need to go back and you need to look and see where are my like terms, okay? What are the terms that are alike? And in this case, it's 12x and 2x. So how we're going to solve this is we're going to read that straight across. 12x minus 2x is 10x plus 10, just bring that down, equals 80. And now here we are at a two-step equation, and we're going to solve like we know how. So we're going to isolate the variable. We're going to get rid of our constant first, so we're going to subtract 10 on both sides. So we're left with 10x here. Positive 10 minus 10 is 0. Equals 80 minus 10 is 70. 10 times x equals 70. So now we need to do the opposite and divide by 10 on both sides. 10 divided by 10 is 1x. And then 70 divided by 10 is 7. Okay? Same thing, same steps. Each time. You just do it step by step. You will be perfectly fine. Okay, so we have our last example here. So we know eventually it's going to wind up as a two-step equation. And so we're going to get started, and we're going to distribute first. So we have 3 times negative 2x and 3 times a positive 4. So just go ahead and bring down that 47. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. 3 times positive 4, both positive, positive 12. And then we're going to bring down that plus 11 that was outside the parentheses. And then you go and ask yourself the question, okay, I've distributed everything. Now, which terms are alike? And in this case, it is the 12 and the 11, as they are both constants, and we're just going to go and combine them. So we have 47 equals, bring down that negative 6x, so we didn't do anything with it. And then 12 plus 11 is a positive 23. All right? And so now we go and look at that, a two-step equation. And we're going to go and solve. 47 minus 23 is 24, equals a negative 6x. So 24 equals negative 6 times x. So we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to divide by 6 on both sides of the equal sign. Okay, 24 divided by a negative 6 is negative 4. And then negative 6 divided by negative 6 leaves us with 1x. And ta-da, that is it. Okay, that is how you solve multi-step equations that have distributive property and combining like terms in the same problem.